In this segment, we will introduce you to the growing ethanol industry of Brazil and how it has revolutionized the Brazilian economy. 30 years ago, when 1 liter of ethanol was worth 3 times more than 1 liter of gasoline, most nations would not have considered investing in it as a biofuel. But Brazil took this path and now produces the cheapest ethanol in the world. Brazil's favorable conditions and tradition for culturing were essential for developing the sector, but it was the government's massive investment in infrastructure and research between 1975 and 1989 that allowed the country to become a leader in the ethanol market. Brazil invested in increasing agricultural production, modernizing and expanding distilleries, and establishing new production plants. It also introduced subsidies to lower prices and reduce taxes for ethanol producers. Brazil's 36-year-old ethanol fuel program is based on the most efficient agricultural technology for sugarcane cultivation in the world, uses modern equipment and cheap sugarcane as feedstock. The residual cane waste is used to process heat and power, which results in a very competitive price and also in a high energy balance. In 2010, the U.S. EPA designated the Brazilian sugarcane ethanol as an advanced biofuel due to a 61% reduction of total life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. Over the next 15 years, production of ethanol increased hugely from 0.6 billion liters in 1975 to 11 billion liters in 1990. Today, Brazil is the second biggest producer of ethanol in the world at 20 billion liters after the United States at 24 billion liters. Close to 80% of this is for the domestic market, and the fuel used in 45% of Brazilian vehicles is ethanol. Part of the demand is down to the success of flex fuel cars, which can run on gasoline, ethanol, or a mixture of both. Flex fuel cars renewed customer interest in ethanol and intensified demand for ethanol biofuel. According to Brazil's National Association of Vehicle Manufacturers, 85% of cars, some 4 million vehicles, sold in Brazil today are flex fuel. The ethanol industry has even attracted major global energy companies into Brazil. Global oil giant BP's Brazilian Biofuels division plans to quadruple its sugarcane crushing capacity in the next 5 years, as it seeks to capitalize on the growing market for ethanol, the company announced on February 14, 2012. BP Biocombustíveis, which operates 3 sugarcane mills in Brazil, aims for crushing capacity of 30 million metric tons of sugarcane per year by 2017, up from 7.5 million tons currently. The Anglo-Dutch oil giant Shell and their Brazilian partner Cosan have also agreed to form a JV sugarcane operations company called Raízen. The name is taken from the words for root and energy, and the new company will oversee the merger of the ethanol, fuel, and sugar divisions. The new company will have an estimated value of $12 billion US. It will be the 5th biggest company in Brazil in terms of revenue with a ranking 2 increase. Raízen will have 3 areas of operation: an ethanol and sugarcane production branch, a branch to overlook the distribution process, and an overarching management company. Chemical companies have also ventured into Brazil to take advantage of the supply and cost position of ethanol. Making plastic from sugar can be just as cheap as making it from petroleum, says the Dow Chemical Company. The Dow Chemical Company plans to build a plastic processing plant in Brazil that it says will be the world's largest facility for making polymers from plants. Production will focus on polyethylene, the most commonly used plastic, targeted for use in high-performance flexible packaging and medical equipment. As the world's second largest ethanol producer after the U.S., Brazil slipped into a rather enviable position in December of 2011, when U.S. Congress dropped its ethanol import tariffs. According to industry experts, the long-awaited move could see Brazilian ethanol exports increase by tenfold over the next decade, due to demand for Brazil's sugarcane-based ethanol that Brazil claims is cheaper, cleaner, and more efficient. For the first time in over 3 decades, the U.S. opened the market for imported ethanol. The U.S. and Brazil accounted for 80% of ethanol in the world, and now there is no charge for this fuel. It is an important step towards consolidating ethanol as an international commodity. The existing tariff of 54 cents a gallon on ethanol imports will expire on January 1, 2012, as will subsidies of 45 cents a gallon to U.S. blenders, worth $6 billion US a year. It's a bull market for the ethanol industry in Brazil, and the sugarcane producers of the nation will continue to be the sugar daddy for the rest of the world.